Welcome back to BRV Building Your Brand with Steph and Sky. In today's episode, we'll be discussing websites and how fancy of a website your small business actually needs.
So, before we jump into that, one thing that we're really enjoying as we record these podcasts is the fact that we're learning new things that we can then share with you. So, for example, during our last episode, when we got all set up to record, we used a cafe green screen and we were just sitting on stools side by side. And we know it's kind of corny, but we thought it was funny and we even talked about it during the episode. But then, after we played it back, we realized that it did not, in fact, record the green screen. So we did have to make some cuts while editing because we were doing some weird jerky hand motions, but yeah, now you know why. And we're trying to film with it again, so not exactly sure if it's gonna show up this time. Probably not, but
It's a fun little trial and error. And I think on top of all of that, the other funny part was I didn't even realize that my dog was behind me. So Chase was sound asleep on the floor in the background. Anytime I moved my head, you probably saw him lying across the floor behind me. So you'll probably see him from time to time. And I think, as much as we've tried to establish like this aesthetic and we really want to fit it, we also realize that isn't really always possible. Especially, we're moving around a lot. We can't always meet in person. So we know that it's more important to be sharing this information with you than it is to have everything perfect. And that's on keeping it real.
yeah, so let's jump into today's topic, I guess. You know the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, what about a business? Whether you like it or not, people are absolutely judging your business based upon its cover, or in this case, its website design. So, just a little disclaimer here. My expertise doesn't typically lie in web design, but I can speak on some stats, so we can start there.
Yes.
Our world today is practically run by websites, so it is super important to not only have one for your business, but also have a properly designed. A website can serve as your online storefront, a portfolio, or an information hub. And according to Forbes, users form an opinion about a website 0.05 seconds. So for me, I can't stand when a website shows the 404 not found or there's glitches when I'm trying to find something I'm looking for. And I feel like this always happens on my car insurance company. And it always makes me think twice about like my car insurance company because I'm like, if they're a well-known company, this is just not a good look having a website that doesn't even function.
Yes. It's interesting because there's so many websites that actually are really laggy. The load time is longer than it should be. And I get it. These websites have a lot of information that they're trying to push through. So it does make sense that like the speeds might not be as optimized as they should be. But especially for those big brands, they should have a team of people
Yes.
that are able to make it function better.
Yes, I definitely agree with you there. And, going along with that, 47% of users won't wait longer than 2 seconds for a website to load. So this just really stresses the importance of having a website that functions properly and keeping up with the maintenance side of things.
Yes. And there are some potential drawbacks of not having a website. As a small business, you might be on social media, you might be getting great leads from that, or even just from word of mouth. You might not have anything. And, here's the thing is having a website, it doesn't have to be anything fancy all the time, but just having some form of presence is certainly helpful for you getting out there. So in terms of drawbacks, it can equate to lost customers and lack of credibility. I know, especially as you push into the younger generations, the first thing we do is go and look for a website or some type of social presence. So, in a study from Forbes, apparently we just love the Forbes stats today. 29% of business is conducted online. I imagine that number will continue to rise as time goes on. So if you don't have a website, you really are missing out on a huge chunk of people that you could be receiving business from. So make sure you have a website for your business in some capacity. And really the important thing is that it's functional. Again, you don't have to have anything crazy. We'll dive more into that later, but just having some type of presence is really important to your business. You're pretty much leaving money on the table otherwise.
Yeah, and there are definitely, key features that every website should have, regardless of your budget. So, the first is to make sure you have clear and concise information about your business and its offerings. You don't want to be able to tell you do want to be able to tell what your business is, like right up front. You don't want to make people guess what you're selling or what products you're selling. But you also want to have an easy to navigate interface with user-friendly design. So I can't tell you how many times I've visited websites that don't have this element, and it's signed to me right away that it's a poorly designed website. So easy to use is extremely important.
I would have to
Um,
agree. The
yeah.
user experience is a really huge component to the functionality of your website. It can't be clunky. It has to get right to the point, tell them what it is and how to use it. Um, you got to think about how it will be viewed on all devices too, because not everyone's looking from a computer. They might be looking from their phone or even a tablet. So really making sure that it's optimized for all experiences is an important aspect to having a website.
And another thing I think is important is making sure you're listing your contact information and having clear calls to action. So, that could be like a pop up signing up for newsletters or links to social media, but you always want to have something that loops back to the main purpose of your website, which is obviously to get more customers and clients.
I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a website and there's no phone number or email address listed. And I get that, there's the bots and there's the spammers, and you don't want to share that information publicly for
Yeah.
that reason alone. I get that. But just having a contact form to me seems like, oh, okay, so you really don't want me to contact you.
Hmm.
It's like there's no transparency there. Even just having one phone number, email address, pick one, but have it on your website as some other way for them to contact you besides a contact form.
Yes, I definitely agree with you there. So I think it's really up to you and your company. So for what it's being used for, determine how much time, effort, and money goes into your website development. So when in doubt, or if you're budget restrained, you can always start off with a simple website and then work your way up as you feel it's needed.
Yes, and I think it's important for us to go through the difference between, this quote unquote fancy website versus a functional website. So, what exactly does a fancy website typically look like? Well, it usually has more advanced features, like maybe there's animations or custom graphics, or it has a more advanced interface, maybe for scheduling or shopping, or gosh, there's so many different things that could be happening there. But there's certainly benefits to having this fancy website. You've got more impressive visuals. The user experience is enhanced. You have more potential to stand out from the competition. So, I mean, again, going back to the younger generations, these things may stand out more and might be a deciding factor in choosing your company for a product or service. But with that, you also have to think that there's some hurdles you might encounter when it comes to building out this kind of website, and that includes higher development costs, longer build times, and of course, there is going to be ongoing maintenance that is associated with having a more, fancy website. And then you dive into the functional website, and what exactly is that prioritizing? Well, what we're looking for here is clear information, it's user friendly, it's mobile responsiveness, and often, you might find that there's just one or two pages. Sometimes it's just one long page and you're just scrolling through it, and that's okay. It's got all the information that you need. Um, and there are certainly benefits to having a functional website, especially if you're a small business. And this comes down to affordability. Wow, I can't even talk. Affordability, faster development time, the ease to keep up with the maintenance. You don't have to go searching for all the different pages and, enhancing the SEO on each page individually. And it also is focused on the user's needs. So it's just getting right to the point. So I would say start off by doing your research to see what you like, what you don't like, what you need and what you don't need for a website. And then from there, deciding if you need a fancy website or a functional website really comes down to your budget, what you're doing with the website, how important, having that fancier website will be for your products or services.
There's definitely some different website options for different budgets as well. So the first kind would be the DIY website builders. So there's plenty of website builder platforms that are super easy to use and affordable. So, some examples of these might include Wix or Squarespace. There are potential limitations with customization and scalability for complex business needs that come with these website builders. So if you're looking for specific needs, you'll have to make sure you can do it on these platforms before you start building your website on there. It's really helpful to work with a website developer who can add custom code that allows you to enhance the personalization on these if you decide to go this route. There's also the freelance website developers, which offer a more customized solution, and these I would say are at a moderate cost. But make sure you're finding a developer with a strong portfolio and clear communication style, because it'll make all the difference in how your website looks and functions. And then last is, a website design agency. So these have many pros. They offer expertise in branding, user experience design, and ongoing support. However, these typically come at a premium cost. We think that working with the same people that do other marketing materials is super helpful for making everything cohesive. So like you'll get similar wording, imagery, design, things like that for your company. And, this is definitely beneficial if you are a small business and just starting, but obviously it comes at that cost.
And I think the one thing that's interesting is, we're a marketing agency, but we also cater to the small business. So I find that we tend to operate in a little bit of a different mode and style than your typical marketing agency. So while many of them come at this premium cost, with us being so focused on the small business and understanding that they have budgetary restrictions and they don't always have the cash flow to be able to afford, really going full full send
Yes.
on getting a big website done. Um, I work with a lot of individuals where I recommend right off the bat, okay, Wix or Squarespace is probably going to be a good starting point for you. And even though, that might not be what they were looking for initially, when it comes down to talking about budgets, I am incredibly transparent with people and I let them know this might not be in your budget right now. Do, X, Y, or Z, such as getting Wix or Squarespace. And then in the future, once you've established your target audience more and you've understood their needs more, and maybe you haven't even really fully ramped up your business yet. So once you get to that point, okay, then you might want to, develop the WordPress or the Shopify website, depending upon what type of business you have. But don't think that having a WordPress website means that it's going to make your business better. Really, it's the presentation. It's the type of information that you're providing to them. It's the user experience, and it's making sure that you have clear call to actions. So no matter which level of website design you go with, just know that as long as you're doing it correctly or you're working with someone who's going to do it correctly, you will have a positive outcome regardless. And I think that that really just dives into the next part of this is, what it comes down to for you at the end of the day when deciding what level of website you're going to start with. So focus on prioritizing your needs. It's important that you identify your business needs and the target audience before choosing a website solution. So going back to what I was just talking about, and then focus on the functionality first. So first and foremost, keep in mind what your budget is. If you're a small business that's still getting started, you don't have that large stream of revenue, like I was saying before, consider the simpler solution until you're able to budget for the higher end website with all those features that you're really looking for. The user experience should still be your top priority no matter what website solution you move forward with. And again, working with a professional, they can help you establish what that looks like. And then think about the scalability for the future. So consider the potential for website expansion and features that are going to be added as your business grows. I always like to ask my clients what their long-term goals are with the business, and that can help me determine which solution makes the most sense. So for example, if they eventually want to open an online storefront, accept appointments, things of that nature, I might steer them in a different direction just so they're not wasting money or time.
We just threw a ton at you in a small amount of time, but I think if there's any other topics that you guys ever want us to talk about, let us know because we can definitely, make a whole episode about it. But yeah, if you have any other questions about websites, we're always here to answer those questions. And also, you can be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more of our podcasts. You can follow us on social media. So we have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And if you are looking for free or discounted marketing softwares, you can check us out in our Instagram bio. Our handle is at skccreative_. And we will see you later.
Bye.